Hello and welcome to the Authority of Love. I'm joined by our co-host today, David Walls. I'm Greg Williams, your host, and we are at another fabulous Family Foundation Friday. David, welcome and thanks for joining me again, brother.
It's good to be with you, brother.
Yeah, I know we've got a lot going on, and we're dealing, but we can look around our studio here and
Yeah.
see that, right? They
Yeah.
can't see it, but we can. And but there's a lot of good things going on. How's the family doing? School's underway, full tilt now, and
Yeah, we're in the swing of it. We got had a soccer tournament this past weekend.
There
We had let's see, I don't know, 5 or 6 total soccer games this weekend between all the kiddos.
yeah, it's
So,
wonderful. It
Soccer's
can
a
be
blessing,
tiring.
though. Soccer's a
Yeah.
blessing.
Yeah, every bird's a blessing, right?
Except it was hot.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
hot
yeah.
last weekend.
Yeah, and it's-
Thankfully, no games this weekend because I think with the remnants of the hurricane and
yeah.
the rain that we're expecting. I don't think there'll be any soccer play
Yeah,
this
yeah,
weekend.
they've already had professional games called off and everything because
Yeah.
it's moving through and dumping a lot of rain and other things. So we do want to pray for those that are in the path of
Absolutely.
Helene and in the wake of Helene as well. So we want to remember that. I know I've got friends in Florida and Georgia and places there and I know you do as well. One of the hot topics that has come up in the last week or so, David, is this what we're going to call Amber's story. And I'll just say this and let you fill in the gaps. This is another one of those where the liberals and the medias are running full tilt with disinformation and there are no fact checks. They're
Yeah.
blaming anti-abortion or pro-life groups and whatever else that may be.
Yeah.
Let's help set people straight on what actually happened.
Yeah. So, and it's not just a matter of not fact checking. It's a matter of pushing a false narrative
Yes.
to continue to promote a pro-abortion agenda and sacrificing the health and safety of not just the baby but mothers as well.
Yeah.
So folks may have heard some about the tragic death of, I believe it's Amber Nicole Thurman, that the media has harped on. Vice President Harris, running for president, has harped on and has tried to frame her very sad, tragic death as somehow related to pro-life laws that were on the books in the state of Georgia.
Right.
But as the facts have come out on this case, it's actually the exact opposite. It's because of
There's a shocker.
pro-abortionists.
Yeah.
It is because, unfortunately, of the chemical abortion pill, which, as we know, I believe now is something like 67% of all preborn babies lose their life via the chemical abortion pill, as opposed to the surgical abortion currently. But what happened was she had traveled to another state to seek an abortion and was given the 2-pill chemical abortion pill regimen. Took that, and then, as many women do, in fact, I think the FDA even says 1 in 25 will have serious complications.
Especially after, I think, David, don't quote me
Yeah.
on this, listeners, but you can check it out yourself. I think if it's after 5 or 6 weeks, those complications are multiplied. They're magnified.
Yes.
And I think she was at like 9 weeks.
Yeah. Which, again, there used to be some protections in place
Right.
under the FDA, but
And monitoring
and so forth. But that has all been removed under the Biden-Harris administration.
So that's
And
actually
so-
a pro-abortion thing that's causing this.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And then, so she had very serious medical complications, and she unfortunately went on to actually pass away.
Yeah.
And there's more to this story, but again, the media, Vice President Harris has tried to harp on this, continuing to paint this false narrative that women can't get the treatment that they need under states with pro-life laws,
Yeah.
and the reality is it's the exact opposite. And I'll share, Greg. I was actually this week blessed to get to go to Assurance Pregnancy Care Center,
Yes. Yeah.
their annual dinner, and their keynote speaker was Dr. Christina Francis, who is the CEO of the American Association of Pro-Life OBGYNs, and they actually had to shift the program around a little bit. She spoke earlier in the program because she was getting on a plane to go to Washington, D.C. to testify in front of Congress on this issue.
Yeah.
And so she very boldly spoke at the dinner, but also in Congress this week. And I just want to quote from her on this, where she made it very clear that the unfortunate deaths of the baby and the mother in this case were in no way the result of Georgia's pro-life laws. In fact, no pro-life law in the country prevents OBGYNs like, and this is her quote, like me, from intervening when a woman is facing a potentially life-threatening complication of her pregnancy. They do not have to be knocking on death's door before doctors can intervene. And then she went on to say, Madam Vice President, stop lying to my patients. Your lies are harming women and they're harming physicians.
Wow. Very good.
Powerful
Very good.
words, and an important reminder that unfortunately the pro-abortion movement, our Vice President, and the media enablers will stop at nothing to promote the culture of death. And unfortunately, Greg, what this disinformation, it is causing women to be scared to receive medical care that they actually need.
That's the issue.
They're intimidating physicians in the medical industry to not be clear about what the law is and what the law isn't. Obviously, when you have whether that be a miscarriage or other medical complications,
botched abortion, whatever it may be,
where you have a baby that has passed away in the womb, giving the mother the treatment that she needs as it relates to that's not an abortion.
No, and David,
it's not an abortion. And so the pro-life laws in every state, in Kentucky, allow for treatment that's necessary.
Full treatment.
Yes.
Yeah, full treatment. And I think at the 9 weeks and the risk, and she ended up going into sepsis.
Yes.
And she went to the hospital. The hospital did everything they could, and they would have done it at any time, and been perfectly within their legal rights and their commitment to do so.
Yep.
The problem was that it was botched through the abortion. And I would even say this as a warning, though. This is why President Trump, I would like for him to reconsider his thoughts on how many weeks and things like that, because this would have still happened within the weeks that he is saying. So we know he's much closer, and on many other issues he's much stronger, but still a word to the wise, I hope. Word to the wise. Speaking of disinformation and lawlessness, I said it last week, I'll say it again, our governor, Beshear, here in Kentucky, has added again. Give us an update on the conversion therapy ban, quote unquote.
Yeah, the lawless executive order that Governor Beshear has signed that really is seeking to silence biblical Christian counseling on human sexuality issues. This order would go so far to say that you can counsel someone into the LGBT,
convert them into
the LGBT lifestyle, including it's okay to provide counseling, encouraging them to receive a gender transition when that's illegal for children in Kentucky.
Yes.
But if you were to in any way provide counseling for someone out of that lifestyle, or counseling to simply say, no, you should, to affirm them in the reality of who they are biologically, as God created them as a male or female, that is apparently outlawed now under Governor Beshear's executive order.
Right.
So I continue to be thankful for so many other organizations and leaders and elected leaders that have been speaking out boldly about this. National groups here in state, elected officials, legislators. We have launched an effort to continue to raise awareness about this. Had thousands of people contacting Governor Beshear. You can go to our website at KentuckyFamily.org and go to our Take Action page to join us in that effort. And so continue to do that. But look, I know there's a lot of folks that are very concerned about this and the legal implications in terms of it probably violating First Amendment free speech, religious liberty. Yeah. And so, we need to get the word out to, if there are particularly those that are in the licensed professions, whether that be a family therapist, marriage and family therapist, pastoral. There's a version of a pastoral counseling
that goes under licensing.
Some are not. Do it outside of that. Psychologists, psychiatrists, really any
social workers, school counselors,
anyone that's licensed in the kind of mental health space, for lack of a better term. Yeah. If you are licensed in those areas and have deep concerns about this executive order, and you should, we want to alert you to that and encourage you to reach out to us and send us an email at info@kentuckyfamily.org. We're trying to do all we can to alert folks and equip folks to stand against this really, really unrighteous and unlawful executive order.
Exactly. And with that said, and I mentioned school counselors as being those that are social workers that are some of the licensed, we know that the governor also lawlessly pushed for the schools to go against the law on this very same issue earlier. So it gives us another reason why we should have educational freedom and school choice. You were privileged to take part in a conversation on public radio that will air later in October,
Yeah.
right? Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, I had an interesting kind of back and forth debate exchange that'll be airing later this year. We'll share the information later in the next month in October. But had a kind of a cordial conversation on some important questions with John Schaaf, who is a very strong opponent to educational freedom. And it was an interesting conversation. I'm thankful for the opportunity that we had. Again, Amendment 2 on the ballot is a school choice proposed constitutional amendment. If it passed, it would simply just allow Kentucky to have a conversation in the General Assembly about moving forward with school choice policies in Kentucky. And there are some that are opposed to that. And really, Greg, what I think is underlying a lot of it, and some of that came from the conversation that we had, was control. They want to continue to have government control, all the resources, and everything that comes with that. And I continue to see this difference in focuses. The school choice movement, the supporters of Amendment 2, are seeking to put students first, to say, why don't we
and families.
Move towards
Yep.
a system that empowers families and students,
Yep.
and even, Lord willing, might look at putting some resources following families and students, as opposed to continuing to prop up a system that just flat out doesn't work for everyone. There's no way a one-size-fits-all education system, which is effectively what we have in the Commonwealth, will work. It's not working. I think everyone would agree that there's significant changes
the test
or
scores and everything's
improvements.
showing.
Yes.
Yes.
But we have some of the those against Amendment 2 that are just want to double down on the current system and say, we just need to pour more money, more money, more money. We're pouring incredible amount of resources. As I said in this conversation, Greg, it's about stewardship.
Yes.
Are we being good stewards of the significant
And
resources?
school choice has shown that when you give them that, it's much more efficient, much better stewards.
Yeah, because, again, parents and families have the God-given right and responsibility to direct the education of their children. So when you put that closer to home, if there's some resources following the parents, you better believe, on a whole, that they're going to be better stewards of what's best for their kids,
and better outcomes,
than a one-size-fits-all approach that just simply does not meet the needs of every student.
Yeah. And by the way, you guys are one of the distribution centers for the Yes on 2 Amendment yard signs, right?
Yeah,
so they can probably get that.
We have some now in our office, and you can reach out to us at info@kentuckyfamily.org or call our office at 859-255-5400. If you're interested in showing your support for school choice and Amendment 2, we'd be happy to provide you a yard sign. We're just serving as a distribution center, and we have a lot more resources too. Amendment 2 resources, presidential voter guide resources, citizens, however we can help serve you. We want to do it.
And finally, don't forget the Kentucky Family Forum on October 12th. We'll be pushing that more the next couple of weeks, but there is room for you to get individual discounted rates and fill some tables. You can come. So we'd love to have you there.
Absolutely.
David, thanks for joining us again. I'm Greg Williams, and we thank you, listeners, for joining us. Thanks to the Lord. This is Greg Williams with co-host David Walls, and you're listening to The Authority of Love.